The it bag from the early 2000s is back. Today I'll tell you about a bag that quickly became a massive hit after its release in 2005 and which was updated and re-released earlier this year. Now the new bags cost thousands of dollars because this is from a luxury fashion house. However, you can still get the original ones for only a few hundred, and they're so well made and so fun, and it's such a great deal. So that is what we're really focusing on in this video. Plus, despite its popularity, this bag was released before YouTube became a thing, so there really aren't very many videos on these original bags. And there is one version of the bag that most people do know about. However, in doing my research, I knew already that there were a few different versions, but I discovered 9 different versions of this bag. So I'm going to focus on those today, tell you all about all 9 of them. I've seen videos on the one most popular one and one other version, but I've seen nothing on any of the other ones. So I'm hoping this will be both interesting and helpful. I also have one of these bags in my collection. I picked it up a few years ago, so I'll give you a quick overview of some of the special things about it that made people fall in love with this bag. If you decide to go shop for one of these bags, I have some tips for you on things to look for, and also we'll talk a little about authentication because these bags were faked. So stay tuned and welcome. I'm Autumn Beckman and I'm here to help you live your most luxurious life within your budget. I post new videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of those, and so you don't miss my daily community posts where I share the best sales of the day and fabulous handbags that I find. Also, don't miss my website, autumnbeckman.com/shop. That's where you'll find handbags and accessories that I have for sale, as well as the My Handbag Collection Organizer. These are planner pages that I've designed to help you organize and curate your handbags and your life. The item tracker is the heart of the planner. This is where you can record everything you'd want to know about your handbags and small goods. I also have lots of trackers for wish lists and purchases and temptations and shipments, plus a few different pages that help you track how you use your items and how often. I also have calendar pages in a variety of formats so you can find what works best for you, and so much more. Now, the bag we're talking about today is, of course, the Fendi Spy Bag. This was introduced in Karl Lagerfeld's Spring 2005 runway collection with Fendi. However, he's not the one who designed the bag. It was designed by Silvia Venturini Fendi. And the Spy Bag was Fendi's second it bag, following the Baguette from 1997, which is widely regarded as the very first it bag ever. Both bags gained a lot of popularity because this was the era of celebrities being photographed with bags and people wanting things that celebrities owned. That's still going on today, of course. But this was the beginning of that. The Spy Bag was produced for 7 years, and it comes in a vast array of colors and materials and textures. I'll show you just a few of those in a minute. And this year, 2025, is the 20th anniversary of the Fendi Spy Bag. It's also the 100th anniversary of Fendi. So they released updated versions of the Fendi Spy. I think these are really beautiful. They're more pared down to the essence of the Fendi Spy, but the originals will always hold a special place in my heart. When they were introduced, I was living in New York City as a college student, and I wasn't paying attention to luxury fashion house handbags at that time because they were so far out of my reach financially. What I did do every now and then was go down to Canal Street in Chinatown and pick up a few inexpensive handbags. And I remember I got this one bag that I had no idea at the time because I didn't know what a Fendi Spy Bag was back then, but it was a dupe of a Fendi Spy Bag. And I wish I still had it. I wish I even had photos of it, but it had black leather trim, and then the body of it was a faux fur in a gray leopard print. It was a pretty funky bag, but I loved it and I carried it so much. And I had no idea that it was a copy of another bag. But this is the version, this is the first of 9 that we'll talk about today. This is the one that was the most popular, the big, what I will call the classic Fendi Spy Bag. This is the one that was the it bag that was so popular, that was everywhere, and the one that they've made countless variations of in terms of the colors, the materials, and the textures. For example, I'm gonna go through a few of these, but this barely scratches the surface of what they did. So there were all leather ones in solid colors and in multiple colors. One of the most well-known and most desirable is this version, which has the Fendi Zucca print fabric across the center of the body, leather on the sides, and then it's trimmed in what they called tortuga, which was a calfskin that was imprinted with this pattern to look like a tortoise shell. There were also beaded bags, crocodile, bags that were highly embellished. I've seen them even more embellished than this one. There were several versions that had this kind of stripe of textured leather or other materials, sort of flower petal-y looking. This was a collaboration with Moncler. I love this pleated one. That was one of the original designs from the spring 2005 runway. There's this one which has like a painting on it. Oh, here's one of the really embellished ones. I love this one with these giant oversized sequins. They made them in snake, and there were several that had squirrels. It's kind of hard to see on these, but there were 2 squirrels on the front. On some versions, there were 2 squirrels on the back. Some were in velvet, some were in denim, maybe some other textiles too, with embroidery, crystals. This one is pretty spectacular, this purple with the velvet and the mesh and crystals on it and little faux pearls. And the version that I have is this one. I'll bring it closer. This is all woven leather, and it even has little knots around the sides there where the flower petal-y things were. So I'll just give you a spin of this one, so you can see what that looks like on the front and the back. So there are no real exterior pockets, no feet, but still such a gorgeous bag. You have these 2 big handles that can fit over your shoulders, but mostly these are held in the crook of your arm. And then these have little knobs on them here. These are always or almost always woven leather, almost always, because some are other materials. And one of the most notable features about the Spy bag is this flap closure, because this thing here with the rounded part is actually a pocket that is this long, and this little thing here, which looks like a handle, is a metal container on the end of which there's a little mirror, and that opens up so you could put something inside. I've seen people call it a lipstick case, but that would not hold lipstick. Here's a Chanel lipstick that I have. That's not fitting in there. But I saw somebody else say it might be for a lighter, so here's just a little Bic lighter. Well, that one won't fit either. Maybe cigarettes. Who knows? If you have a Fendi Spy and you've ever kept anything in here, let us know what you put in that. And then underneath that little thing, I'll turn it sideways, is this leather strap where you can even hold the bag by that. The interior is just one enormous compartment. This is a very large bag. There are no pockets, no organization. So that's an overview of the classic Fendi Spy that we're familiar with. Now let's look at the 8 other variations. The first of which is what's called the Mini Spy, which is basically a smaller version of this bag. The difference between the classic Spy and the Mini Spy has to do with the fold over, the flap part, and the metal compartment. So on the big one, that rounded off flap, as you saw, was a pocket to be able to put things in. But on the Mini Spy, it's just a piece of leather. There's no pocket, no interior to it. Also, the metal case on the big one is replaced on the Mini with just a leather handle. In this case, it's woven, but I've seen others that are just a flat piece of leather. Oh, and by the way, all of the Fendi Spy bags that I'm telling you about today, the different versions, I'm going to have them linked in the description box for you. As many as I can find. They're not all going to be available for sure, and some of them there may be only one available. But everything I can find will be linked. Now, the Mini Spy is not to be confused with the Baby Spy. I saw some videos that talk about the Baby Spy on YouTube, but they call it the Mini Spy. That is incorrect. This is the Baby Spy. So again, it looks like a smaller version of the bigger Spy bag, except this time there's no flap or handle thing at all. You still have the 2 top handles, which are woven leather, but instead of having the open flap compartment, you have a zipper. I have never seen the Mini or the Baby in person. Based on looking at photos and mod shots that I've seen, they look like they're about the same size. But the Baby might be a little smaller. I don't know. If you have either of these, please let us know in the comment section below. And then there are other variations entirely of the Spy bag, but all of these keep some of the Spy elements. It's really interesting what they did with this bag. I'm surprised that I couldn't find any other videos on this. So the next one I want to talk about, variation number 4, is the Spy Hobo bag. So now you have a shoulder bag, whereas the other ones were mainly crook of the arm or handheld. Here you still have the braided handle that we saw on the original spy bags, but just one instead of two this time. And you have that hobo crescent shaped body with a zipper on top. And like all of these, you still have that decorative kind of wavy element on the front and the sides. And version 5 is another version of the hobo. This one has a pocket on the front of the bag, and right where you would expect there might be a buckle, there is instead the end of that little, we'll call it a lipstick compartment even though it isn't, where the mirror is. The little mirror thing is right there where the buckle would be. Version 6 is a smaller shoulder bag that I saw called the Mini Spy Pochette, but I don't know if that was the official name. This is a smaller version of the bag, the smallest we've seen so far. In Fendi terms, it's closer to the baguette. In wider terms, it looks more like the size of a Louis Vuitton pochette accessoire. The strap is different this time. It's a flat piece of leather, and it's attached with little rectangular rings. It has a little curved flap, which again is not a pocket, but that is reminiscent of the classic spy. And it has that little braided handle thing hanging off the front. And then version 7 is so interesting. Version 8 too, these are very similar, because they've taken the spy bag and they've just reduced it to the most unique part of the bag, that flat pocket with the handle. They've taken that and turned it into a clutch bag. Now I say clutch, but it could also be called a wristlet. It could also be called a crossbody bag because it came with a chain that was detachable and that you could wear crossbody. And what I'm calling version 8 of this is a larger version of the same bag. And there were several different versions of these because some of the pockets are round, some are oval, some are a little more triangular, little different shapes, and it's hard to tell in some of the images that I've seen exactly how big the bag is. But I did see one distinct difference in the runway show where these were introduced, again, spring 2005. And that is, it looked like the smaller ones had a chain crossbody, but larger ones had a leather crossbody strap. So that's how I'm differentiating between version 7 and 8 here. And these are very difficult to find, but I have found a couple and linked them for you below. I have not found any of version 9. I don't know that these were put into production. If you know, let us know. Version 9 I saw on the runway, and it was simply that little lipstick case on a chain. That's it. You can hardly call that a bag. What do you fit in there? But they had 2 of them on the runway. Very difficult to see in these photos, but that's what it is. Now, in addition to linking all of these bags in the description box below, I'm also going to link other videos that I have on the Fendi spy bag. I will link the unboxing that I did of the one that I have, and another unboxing of a leather one that I got previous to that, a leather that wasn't woven, more of like the basic Fendi spy bag. That one had some issues that are fairly common in some of the older bags that have been worn a lot. So that's a good video to watch to give you an idea of what to look for in terms of wear on some of these bags if you're shopping on the Preloved market. There are particular spots on the bag. Here, I'll show you on this one where they are. Right around here and here on the front and back. And then also, of course, where the bottom corners would be. Those are places in particular to look for wear, but there are other issues in that video that you might be interested to check out too. I'm also going to link a video from another YouTuber that I found very helpful a few years ago when I was shopping for a Fendi spy, that shows an authentic one and a not authentic one side by side. They look very, very close. And that video goes into some details about what to look for when you're shopping for an authentic bag. And one more thing, there's something on this bag that breaks a lot. So let me point that out. I've seen a few bags on the market, and I will actually link one because one of them is crocodile and it was a really good price. But I've seen Fendi spies where this whole compartment here is missing. So apparently that was one of the issues with this bag, is sometimes this thing would come off of the hinge there. But more often what you'll see is that the little lid here, which does not stay closed very well, by the way, so that's another reason I wouldn't keep anything in there, especially anything valuable, is this little lid sometimes will be missing. And 2 more things you want to look for inside the bag. On the front wall of the inside, there will be this metal plaque that says Made in Italy and then Fendi. And if you're looking at the bag from the front and you pull out the interior, there's going to be a tag on this side seam. And on one side it looks like this, it says Fendi and it has some of the care information. But on the other side it has a little hologram, and right under that I have it covered. it has a string of letters and numbers, which I'm guessing is the serial number. So that would help with authenticity too. So I'm curious to hear in the comments section below how many of these 9 versions of the Fendi Spy Bag you already knew about, and which were new to you. And which is your favorite? If availability and price were no object, which one would you get? Or would you not get any? I have always really loved the Fendi Spy Bag, like I said. Let me know in the comments section below. And while you're down there, be sure to check out all the links, as well as my website, autumnbeckman.com/shop, for handbags, accessories, and planner pages. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope to see you back here next time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.